We are red, red is on.
Okay, good evening and welcome to Thursday, March 14th, 2019 Selectmen's Meeting. Shall we all stand and say pledge allegiance to the flag? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so the first thing we got, I think everybody has a copy of the minutes for Thursday, February 28th. We got the folders to review.
Not the 21st?
We've got two sets.
Oh, okay. We'll start with the 21st. Thanks, Peter.
No problem. Oh, because I was halfway through it. Gail on page 2. Town administrator update, second line. She explained the cost of the paid intern, maybe. If you read it, it's no problem.
Oh, well, then I have would cost. So I'll take.
But if you read how you've got it up front, it's awkward up front, so.
So in this
Maybe
first,
working for 20 hours. She explained the paid intern working for 20 hours a week for approximately 5 months would cost. And then you can keep the would cost stuff down on the back end.
on the first page of the town planner report, could we include some of the conversation about the cost? He gave us an estimated cost that he got from the attorney because we'd asked for that before. And I'd like the minutes to reflect that there was and we expected to cost around this much price.
That's right.
But I can ask.
Make a motion to accept the minutes of Thursday, February 21st, 2019, as corrected, as amended.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Everybody all set? Anybody need more time or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And so moved. Now, we can go on to Thursday, February 28th, 2019.
On the first page, 79 in the application, the very last sentence.
You like that?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I was trying to pronounce that and make it a word, but I couldn't. Nevertheless.
Don't see that written down a lot of times.
Sounds like the Saturday night bird. On the second page in the Selectmen's reports, the second paragraph, it was the consensus of the board about the prosecutor. I guess, so, steps to take to hold liable those property owners. I was really asking for help in collecting the fines, but I guess it's close enough. Except it doesn't say fines anywhere. I mean, I know the consequences of not submitting their designated respondent affidavit forms to other people's mail.
To collect fines and hold.
So it was, the reason to contact him was to ask for his help in collecting the fines. You know, advising us on what the next step was. And then on the very last page, the very last two words.
Stay tuned.
I mean, right?
It
Could
was
be
a,
continued or?
I don't know. My first reaction is it wasn't appropriate, and then I think it's pretty funny.
Well, it's.
But it tells the story.
It's like, well, yeah, stay tuned.
Details forthcoming, what do you
Yeah.
want?
I thought it,
I
yeah,
don't have a
so
problem with it.
Yeah, okay, I like that kind of thing anyway.
it's kind of quippy, so.
I would make a motion to accept the minutes of Thursday,
I have something.
okay, February 28th, as amended, as corrected.
Pat has, after Pat has a comment.
So we don't,
We
we
have-
got a motion, do we have a second? It sounds like we don't have a second, so Joe will have to remake the motion. And we'll go hear from Pat.
I think under present, under February 28th, that's when I was absent.
Yeah, what? I didn't hear you. You're right, because I put down underneath Selectman Constantino absent.
Thank you. Done.
So now, I would like to make a motion to accept the minutes of Thursday, February 28th, 2019, as corrected, as amended.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'll abstain as I was not here.
Just vote present.
So moved.
That's it, Phylum.
Okay, the next thing we have is this guy. DPW Director Duval. This guy right here. That guy.
Okay, so we give him the John.
Yep, the chairman will appoint. Chairperson, chairman.
This is,
How many did we get?
3.
Oh, that's not too shabby.
Better than what I got.
there we go.
You know it's not right.
Okay, so I have before me the Cedar Street Project RFPs 2019. I've got 3 envelopes, CMI, R&D, and Porter.
GMI.
EMI, that's right, how's that? That one?
How about?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they're.
Okay, this one is from, where it go? Probably should
Sigmund? First
no,
one.
sure. Chris Harris, his name.
Porter paving.
Porter paper.
Okay, I don't, still don't see a Porter paper.
This is R&D.
Okay, bidders must provide the following: start date, availability, 3 references, proof of insurance if the award is bid, or if the bid is awarded. I'll be all right. Part 1, total depth reclamation, finished grade compact with water, $14,409.60. Part 2, finished grade, compact with water, 2-inch of 3/4 inch winter binder, $105,000, $105,222.60. Part 3, 1.5 inch of 1/2 inch wearing course.
1.5 of a 1/2 inch aggregate.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
Didn't say, all right. And the bid was $84 and, oh no, $84,400.
I was gonna say, but it's
That's a deal.
Well, see, it looks like a dog.
Oh, it does.
Yeah. For a total bid of $204,032.20.
Okay, I've got another one here. These are for the 2019-2020 Cedar Street upgrade project. This one is from GMI. Part 1, total reclamation finish and grade compact with water is $9,600. Part 2, finish grade compact with water, 2 inches of 3/4 inch winter binder is $67,835. And Part 3 is 1.5 inches of half-inch wearing course is $58,097.50, with the total bid of $135,532.50. And that's by GMI Asphalt. I'll read this one too. And we have one, I'm going from R&D Paving. And Part 1 is $10,300 for the total depth reclamation finish grade and compact with water. Part 2, finish grade compact with water, 2 inches of 3/4 inch winter binder is $70,585. And Part 3, 1.5 inches of 1/2 inch wearing course is $57,370 for a total bid of $138,255. So those are the bids.
So there were 3 requests for the sidewalk projects? I mean, the request for proposals?
No,
Just 2?
you sent out,
2? RFP?
More than that, I thought.
you sent out, I think, 10
I was gonna say 8 to 10, I think, is,
to each.
it's just a lot of them didn't bid, is all.
How many projects?
2 projects.
That's what I'm asking.
One's the
2
Main Street.
projects for Main Street sidewalk project and
Yes.
then the Cedar Street upgrade.
Yes. that's
Those are
right.
the 2 projects,
Yes.
correct? Okay.
Do you want me to go ahead with the opening of the other ones, or do you want to discuss this? Well, people, okay, I'll go ahead and open the other one.
You're gonna make copies of these for us anyway, right?
Here's the envelope for it.
No, I need a chance to study
Got to
them.
digest the
So you're gonna
bids
make
and
copies of
documentation and
them first, right?
it'll happen soon, but I want to know what's up.
Will I have some input on the final
Most
decision?
definitely, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Much appreciated.
Yeah.
Well,
I was including you in the ask.
didn't R&D do our bid up on Ridge Road? Can I ask that question? Okay, thank you. I know they're here tonight, but I wanted to ask that question.
As is GMI.
Okay, this is a request for proposal 2019 Main Street Sidewalk Project. Okay, it's broken down into 3 parts. Binder course, wearing course, and prep. But it doesn't say what. Part one is $7,575. What does that, is that the prep, is that the binding course? I see, it doesn't say on this.
One would assume the prep, because you normally go in logical order.
Okay, I'm just saying it's
Prep,
not listed.
binder,
It's not
top.
specified in the,
It's only got two costs, I take it back. So part 2 cost is $22,175 for a total bid cost of $29,750.
Which one was that, please?
And that's GMI Asphalt.
So that's for the Main Street,
This is the
Sidewalks.
Main Street Sidewalk Project.
okay?
That's one blue.
The envelope, please.
Okay, this for the Main Street sidewalk repair 2019. We have a bid here from Porter Paving, and part 1 cost is $24,560. Part 2 cost is $14,940, and the total bid cost is $39,500.
Say that again,
Who
John?
was that?
That was from Porter Paving. Part one is $24,560. Part two is $14,940 with a total cost of $39,500. And last, from R&D Paving for the sidewalk project, we have from, as I said, R&D Paving, Part 1 cost of $8,200, a Part 2 cost of $24,414, for a total bid cost of $32,614. So we can probably get some copies for Kevin to look
Yes.
at.
That would be great, thank you.
And anybody else who wants them. You know-
Make copies for all of us so that we
Can
can
you
study the
make the
bids.
copies, you include the description of the scope of work at the job? Because two of those don't.
Do you recall last year or the year before when that section of sidewalk next to Town Hall was done? Was that a wearing course and base course, or was that just a single course, inch and a half?
It was both. It was a
There's
course.
two courses.
Right, two courses.
There was a
and then-
base and a
And a
wearing
wearing
course?
course,
Okay.
correct.
It could have been the same, it could have been half inch on both, or like
Okay.
you'd have to pull the bid out, I don't recall.
Alright.
I
I,
have copies here if you want
Last year's?
Last
to.
year's?
Oh, last year, sorry, no.
With the sidewalk RFP, I tried to mirror a road structure because of our sidewalk machine, and when we're doing winter cleanup, we have a loader that is, a bucket loader that's on the sidewalks. So that added weight. I wanted the sidewalks built strong so that they don't fail in a year. So that extra material might equate to a larger number for the total project.
Yeah, 'cause
I'm not familiar with the numbers of last year or
You're gonna be
the,
running the loader on it in the wintertime when it's under frost conditions, pretty much, right?
yeah. But
You got a solid base and all, I don't know.
we have, we have potential for spring snow, where we're gonna be clearing snow from the sidewalks. The frost
what-
is leaving.
What's the amount in the capital reserve account if we approve the added money at town meeting?
I believe the figure is close to 230,000 if we have the 94 approved to go in there this year. Now, we do have Academy Street that we have to think about, and finishing up the project down by Market, the one that's called Market. I believe there's roughly 12,000 left to pay on that project. So there are a lot of,
So we don't have enough money to do everything? Or if we do, we're gonna have nothing left in the account?
It's going to be a while
That
before
is-
you do
that is a-
Academy Street.
Huh?
What's the total of the three projects? Pete, do you know what the total of the three projects are?
Of the three, you're talking these two and the other?
In the sidewalk, yeah.
Can I have a calculator? Got them all?
Oh, look at. Anybody care for a calculator?
Yes.
So I'll use the apparent low bidding price right now.
Yeah, ballpark.
Yeah. And the down by Lobster Connection, you're estimating about 12.
12,000.
12,000, yeah.
So that'd be 177.
No,
Was it 80 to 100 or 60 to 80 on the first estimate on Academy? 80 to 100, wasn't it?
80 to 100 on the academy.
So,
There is a point I'd like to make. The third part of the Cedar Street project wouldn't be until the 2020 budget year. So we could subtract that from our figures for this year.
that would only apply to
The Cedar Street project, yes.
So including it, we were at 257.
Now,
So what are we right now? Excuse me, in our budget right now for reserves, we're gonna end up with 204, you said?
if the 94 is
94 is
approved, I
approved.
believe the figure is closer to the 230 mark.
Yeah, we have right now about 135,000.
So if you add 94 to that,
Call it
we're
230.
about 230. And if we wanted to do all three projects, including the 12,000 in Academy, we're at,
You're going to basically zero it out.
no, but what's the total?
I didn't pull out the wearing course on the road project because I was only concerned with bottom line numbers at this point.
Okay, without doing the wearing
Unless,
course.
huh? I don't
Do
have
this-
the number though. Someone has to give me the number.
All right. so
I don't
if
have
you-
the bid.
Who has the bid?
The final part.
I
to
need
Cedar Street.
the GMI
For Main Street?
Cedar Street, please.
The wearing course, yeah.
So you got a range from, oh, you just want the one.
Part 3, I should be.
Part 3,
Oh, part 3?
total of part 3.
84. So you've got a range from 57 to 84. So 57, 58, and 84.
Say what?
57.
58, and 84.
Those are the three numbers that were given for that part.
Can someone give me a total to back out, please?
58,000.
Thank you. That brings you to 200.
For a wear course on Cedar Street,
Yes.
$58,000?
That's Cedar Street, Pine Street, Linden, and
Oh.
Highland.
You said Cedar Street.
The Cedar Street
I'm like-
project.
Okay,
Well, that's the problem when you don't name it the whole thing.
right, it is the problem. Okay. Okay. Pine Street, Linden Street.
So if you do everything you have, you'll have 30,000 left over and a $57,000 payment to go already for the following season.
Unless you decide to add
So in
something.
order to do, right, so you really, so we're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place here because you want to do another sidewalk. We really need to get that Main Street sidewalk done. You-
Well, here's a
The
question.
Academy Street is sort of kind of like,
Well, a question for Main Street. You've got the Main Street Committee talking about wanting to put traditional lamp posts with underground utilities.
yeah,
If you want to do that, then I would suggest you postpone Main Street. If you want a sidewalk project, do West Main to the high school. So give you time to put utilities underground, because you're going to need, what, 3 conduits for each of the utilities?
we haven't bid that though, have we?
No, I understand, but if it's something you want to consider, because it's going to be foolish to put in new sidewalks and in 2 or 3 years say, okay, now we're going to have to do that because we're going to have to run laterals to every building, because I'd put the
But at this
I
point,
put
we
the
can't
conduit
bid
in the
it.
road, not the sidewalk.
But at this point, knowing the projects that we have and the money that we have to do it, it would not be feasible for us to go out and bid West Main Street for a sidewalk project this year. If we waited on the Main
You
Street,
could do that.
and if we waited on the Main Street for the Main Street program to see which direction they're going in, and then next year have a sidewalk project, and then do the Cedar Street project along with your other road project and Academy. We could probably be able to do that and put the Main Street sidewalk on hold.
Is this conversation taking place because we didn't we're not putting enough money in these funds this year?
Well, that's what I was asking all the questions about, what's the total, because we put 94,000 in. Did we cut ourselves short on that, Catherine? I think we did.
We got 300,
But you can,
it's on page
you
16.
can always add if you decide you
Well,
want to.
we can, but the problem with adding at the end is you have to really pick and choose what you want to add, because you only can add so much at the end of the budget. And there's only so many people that actually stay to the end of the budget.
I know where you can subtract. Sorry. You have
I want to get
130,
one of those
At
rubber guns
least now we have
now.
some solid
I'm
figures
gonna
to work
bring one of
with.
those rubber guns to the town meeting.
you have $134,944.84 in that fund as of December 31st, 2018.
So what would we need to add?
And we're putting in,
Right.
how much?
94.
94.
So,
It's 229, round up.
229.
229 is what you can
So we
add.
would need $229,000 this year. And we're gonna end up, no, we would need 257 total to do all the projects.
No, because part of that is next year's work.
Next year's
Well, it would end up being 290 something for the wear coat on the Cedar Street.
No, I think we were up to that was like 257.
That was the
total.
max.
Then we put the
And-
work coats on next year.
Yes, that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. We
yeah.
need to subtract that from this year's budget.
Right.
So we should be just fine.
So we're
Figure
still
out-
short about,
Well, it depends on if you decide to go this year on Academy.
so you're still
How
short
can you
about
do academy
20,000.
if the state hasn't done anything? Whatever we do for a sidewalk there is just gonna.
I'm talking about the
The
wall,
wall,
The wall,
Catherine,
the retaining wall,
academy.
yes.
That-
Academy.
80 to 100 was
I don't think,
an
I think
estimate.
that's a separate warrant article next year.
Well, and I would just tell you that Kevin and I are working on getting different,
No, I'm
Different
sure.
numbers, yeah.
But that, right now, that's the
That's
first
the hybrid,
estimate.
yes.
That's not a this year project.
All right, so if we don't,
Okay.
if we don't do that, it's about 257, and we're gonna have about 229. Do we want to add that at town meeting on Friday? If we do, we need exact figures.
There's one other thing that we talked about last year, was the Winnisquam Market area to clear out the additional
That's the
8 feet.
No,
$12,000.
that's
No.
Just
that's
pavement.
wearing cost
So-
for what's there.
Well, that's another project that could be done next year.
Excuse me, can I just finish? So we talked about adding the additional 8 feet and clearing the land out and having the Public Works do the clearing part and then putting a wear course down this year on that. Would it be possible if we use the 12,000 and put the wear course down on where we're adding on, clearing that out, and then next year go in with, I'm sorry, the base course to where we'd be digging it out and then put the wear course on the whole thing?
You're gonna have to
Where I wanna
probably
leave that.
rebid it.
That would be a timing issue because Porter's planning on being here in April as soon as the plant opens to button up that project.
I
And
think
we would
that's-
need time to reclaim the town property down there and reset everything. And I don't even think that the telephone poles have been relocated yet.
Oh, I know we didn't talk about the telephone poles getting relocated, but we did talk about finishing that
Oh,
off.
sure.
to them,
Oh, yeah,
and
they're
that's
gonna
fine.
be relocated,
Yeah.
though. They have to be, to get out of that little portion there.
Mhm.
That was-
I was under the understanding that my work there hinged on those telephone poles or the
Okay.
utility poles moving.
Right.
It's not a 2019 project.
So,
So would it be feasible for Kevin to sit down with Jeannie and get an exact figure to add, for one of us to make a motion to add to the project this year for the Cedar Street project,
and the sidewalks?
Shouldn't he sit down
no, with the sidewalk, we're gonna
finance
wait.
officer?
The-
Gonna wait for sidewalks till
Mhm.
next year?
till
Okay.
next year, because the Main Street program may be doing something with the downtown, and we're gonna
Okay.
end up tearing it up anyway.
Okay.
No,
Although we don't know if they're gonna do that on that side though, right?
We don't know what they're going to do.
Hang on,
I would-
Jean,
I
could
would
you
just-
step
It's a
in?
proposal, it's a
Can
possibility.
you step
it's
in,
not.
Jean?
Jeannie Goods.
I would just say that I don't think costs a lot of money to put wires underground. You looked at it, I've looked at it before, and I just don't, unless the town is planning to step up, I don't, there's really not grant money out there. Darian, I've looked at that, and unless the committee knows of some other grant opportunity that we don't know of, I just don't see that happening in this community unless the town wants to step up and pay for it to happen.
I thought there might have been new monies out there because the Main Street program years ago researched it in, and there was nothing out there for them to put them underground at that time.
There is not any new money that I'm aware of, and we've been talking to DOT and CDBG. Daria and I are researching that. So unless the Main Street program knows of something that we don't know of, and I just don't see it.
Yeah.
The other problem, and we discussed it before, was to put all those underground. It's more than just getting a grant to get them put underground. Now you have to have all of the property owners on board because they have to redo their connections inside their buildings. So they need new service lines, new meter sockets, everything.
So I guess the point is if it ever does happen, we're talking years out. By the time
I
you
hate
do
to
it,
sit
the
there
sidewalk will be
delaying
ready
this
to be
Except-
over.
Except my
So-
That's
understanding
realistic,
is their
though.
main focus was
It's not
the
something
lamps.
quickly done.
Okay, so if,
So that's another, so that would simply be another line of conduit.
Yeah.
and why we're tearing it up, it would be a conduit placed under there anyway.
I
So,
think you'd want probably
Right.
talk to the electrician, and it might be another set of conduit, and that's nothing.
so if we did the sidewalk
Strong.
project
That's right.
along with these two proposals here, I mean, if we did these two proposals, considering that we may put in conduit for lamps for the future,
The
first
proj-
impressions.
The projects that you're looking at, which ones are safety issues, which ones are really needs and not wants? I mean, do you have a priority?
Well, Cedar Street definitely needs it. Highland and
Highland and Cedar Street are failing.
Yep, Highland and Cedar Street are really failing. The Main Street downtown where we're replacing it, you cannot walk without you can't look up and see the future where you're walking. You have to look on the ground at all times to walk because it's so uneven ground.
Kevin, you've been out there. What do you recommend in terms of priority of these projects?
Why are you laughing, John?
We dumped it on you.
Yeah, no, I see that both should be high on the priority list.
Both.
The Cedar Street project and the sidewalk project.
So what will it take what do we need to add to get those two done if they're high priorities? That's what we need to ask ourselves. What will it take
You don't
to
have
add?
the money in there now? It sounded like,
It will empty our,
Very close.
it's sort of really close. If you figure it roundabout, then you figure we're
That was with the Academy Street
No,
retaining wall project.
I think that if we did the Cedar Street project and the sidewalk project only this year, we will have enough funds to do so.
we will.
Yes,
What about the Winniscombe project? The 12,000?
12,000. Yeah.
You're at 118 on the three projects, and then I subtract out 57,000. I've just rounded up. You're only, you got 136
And Tim's not here,
plus
right?
30
So we do get block grant money.
Mhm.
plus 12.
I know we count on it for other things, but most municipalities use it for the roads,
Exactly that
bridges,
reason.
It's
highways.
only like 120. It's the bridges 80 to 100 is what's gonna, if we went.
I got
If we went with the Academy Street, that would catapult us
Okay.
out of
Got
sight.
it.
So I guess what we're looking at is, do we need to amend our budget for a town meeting this year? Because
Sound like
And
it.
Depends on if
we
you
can
want to
figure
do
it
the,
out.
if you want to do the wall or not.
Well, the interesting thing, when you have a reserve fund, you're not supposed to deplete it in 1 year. That's the idea that it is building. But we're behind on our projects anyway, so perhaps tomorrow a figure can be determined.
Yes, I think,
And an amount if we need to add a few thousand to it.
You know, Peter asked if we wanted to do, it depends if whether or not we wanted to do the wall. Well, Jeannie and Kevin are still researching bids on the wall, so I think that, you know, reasonably, that's going to be a next town meeting project, a next year project, because it's too late for this one.
Well, I can tell you that we've talked about this, and one person that Kevin hasn't met with yet, but he gave us a general idea, and that would just be repitching the wall there now, using what's
using the
there.
existing stone.
And
What are they doing for drainage issues?
he's got that all figured out with fabric
Okay.
filter and all that for the drainage.
Just putting it back in, if you don't fix the
No,
drainage,
no,
it's gonna...
this is what this guy does.
Yeah, he's,
But I want Kevin to vet him, but he gave us a price for around 20,000.
yeah, so,
But,
I
you know,
think the,
obviously cheap is not necessarily the right thing,
The
so
right, exactly,
you just want to make sure.
so, right, that's,
I think
and
the
also
first,
too, we need to work with the water company on this as well.
I've been in
Okay,
touch
so-
with the water company.
We're going to decide before town meeting if we're going to add anything. Are we going to make that decision now?
I don't think we can make that decision until numbers have been crunched.
But,
So when we get to town meeting on Saturday morning, we'll know.
You can call an emergency meeting just before the
So
town
we-
meeting,
We would have to have an official meeting if
yes.
we're going to discuss that
Mhm.
of the selectmen.
We've done that before.
Yeah.
Okay,
Tim
so
is still
just a heads
downstairs,
up.
you want me to get him?
It's gonna be what it is.
I
I
think,
I think what we planned that for right before
Yeah.
town meeting, if
gonna
we
be
have
what
to
it
have
is.
it, the 15, 20-minute meeting to regroup.
I think the question to him is going to be, with these projects and that, those bids that have officially been open, do we have enough in our reserve? And is it your opinion, do we need to go to town meeting asking for extra money? If so, how much extra money do we need to ask, if any? And that's what we need to ask Tim. And, because he hasn't, Tim, in fairness to Tim, he hasn't seen the bids.
And just want to reiterate, we did have a public hearing, and we did discuss with the homeowners and the business owners at Winnisquam Market area that we were going to do something for more parking spaces for them.
Well, we can do
And
that.
I just,
I mean, we did, you're right, absolutely right,
all we
John.
did this time is we regraded. We did a great job taking care of the water drainage and all that, but we have not done anything to change anything that will increase parking spaces at this time.
As long as you want to put it out to bid, we can go for it. You're going to change what was an existing project so much that the contractor has every right to say, no, you've changed
No,
it
we
too much,
never-
I need to
no,
renegotiate.
no.
Parking spaces all along the Route 3 side. That's why we made it one way, so you could park on one side.
That was prior to the public hearing, we did that, and they said they wanted to do the changes. And, I don't want to get in the bay, but we have to keep that in mind. We did
If we have
take
poles
a
in
look
the
back at our
way,
notes.
I didn't promise anybody more spaces than what we built,
I certainly didn't.
so it
I
may
wasn't
have
here
been, it may have been requested by somebody, but the Board of Selectmen didn't make that decision.
We, as a Board of Selectmen, sat after the public hearing and discussed what the project would be with the Public Works Director at the time. And we decided that we would go ahead and take that area out and increase public parking. There were a couple of people that did come in, and we did discuss it with those couple of people so that it was public, that there was known that the board discussed it, and we agreed that we would do this.
I thought we were
Project
taking
that's
it
in the
back
minutes.
because it was our property.
We are taking it
I
back,
don't
but it
remember
would
any
also,
conversation of.
and it would also increase
Beyond any
parking.
grounds.
However, there's not anything that we can do except the utilities have to be out of there first, and that's gonna take a while for the utilities to move that back.
No, I'm just.
And I
so
agree
what-
with you, John, we have to do something, and I don't want that
I think at the
project.
twilight hour,
to go
we
away.
should be changing our projects, because this is always what happens. And this is why we get behind, and we have projects like Cedar Street that are just kind of falling apart in London. And our main street is hard to walk on, and we have lots of older people.
We're
walk
not
on.
changing, what John is saying
But
is
we're
we
trying
need
to add
People-
to it.
I'm-
we
I-
need to finish the
Plan for it.
project on Winnisquam that we committed to.
Yes, but
I'm
that's,
just keeping it on everybody's mind so that it doesn't get forgotten about. So we're all set though for now, right?
Mhm.
We're gonna move on.
Yeah, we're
I just
good.
want to keep it on people's
Right.
mind. So we'll award the bids next week?
Yes. Jeannie and I should meet tomorrow, figure out the number, the exact number that we need, and then we'll present it to the board,
And then
and then we'll go forward.
Look at the bids, decide who you think
I would
does
like to
the
have
best
input
job
on
for
the bids.
project.
Yes.
Yeah, I would like to have input on who we award the bid.
next week,
Good.
same time.
Very good.
That was easy. What else?
Everything else
Anything
going
else
okay?
going?
Everything else is going good?
So you got the lights for the island,
Yes, but they, yeah, we installed those
did you?
yesterday, I believe. Yes,
Nice
yeah,
and bright.
yeah, they're very bright.
Oh,
Really? For
Yeah.
LEDs? It's only
Yeah.
100, how many bulbs are there, 5 or 6?
I think there's 6.
6?
Yeah.
So now we're using 150 watts where we used to use like 900.
Yes.
Something.
And we did get the replacement bulbs for Riverfront Park, but they were wrong, so we had to send them back. JP Carter is researching that and trying to get us the new ones for that as well. There's 19.
Do we have an expected return date on those?
No, we don't. I know.
We're gonna
Coming
open
from
the park and
China.
we have, how many lights are out in the park, Peter?
Riverfront Park, there's 19.
19 out?
Out.
Yeah.
How many are there?
I'm not sure of the total count, but there,
Probably
19 are out.
17. I think it's a little over a half
yeah,
around.
but I believe the figure is $80 a piece. So the ones that we do take out that are bad, we send them back for a credit. Yeah, that's quite a bill.
How's everything going with equipment on snow and all that stuff?
Everything is going well. We're actually looking forward to the downtime, clear weather in the future.
Sundays off?
Yes. No, all the equipment's in good working order. Yeah, business as usual. We're actually starting to bring out the trash cans and benches and giving them a fresh paint job for the year. We are addressing potholes with cold patch, trying to keep those under control. Yeah, everything else is business as usual.
And you had enough sand and salt in the coffers to,
Enough sand, enough salt. I believe we're below usage compared to last year.
we use a lot of
This
events.
year, I believe the last figure I looked at was 13,000 I spent this year in salt. And I have 54,000 in that budget line, so we've done pretty well with that.
13, we had 54.
Yeah.
Shouldn't that be used
Well,
for
we still
paving
have
sidewalks?
November and December.
Yeah. No, that actually popped into my head.
We still have November and December of next year.
Yeah, exactly. No, I understand that. And we're not done this year, but, it feels good to know that I'm in a good place
Yeah.
with the budget,
I agree.
being my first year, so I
How's
think we're
your
doing good.
overtime compared to last year? Have you looked at
Yes,
that?
yes, I did, and we're actually considerably less, even though we're down. We didn't have Wyatt for 6 weeks or so, and we were still getting the storms done in a timely fashion, so I think we're in good shape.
Part of that, you were able to use John.
John, oh yes, yep. This last storm was a little tough. I'm sorry, John. This storm was a little tough because one of my employees had his military responsibilities, and John wasn't available. So the three of us stepped up, and we divided and conquered. So it was a good
Wow,
endeavor.
you guys
Yeah.
did a great job.
Yeah,
Just
this
three of you.
season, it's been great. I haven't heard anything out of the ordinary and
Very good.
normal business usual. If not, I've heard compliments.
So
So
thank you. Another exciting thing coming up this year is I discovered that the state is actually planning on resurfacing a number of roads in town. Lancaster Hill, River, and Church, and I believe Clark.
Which program?
What's that?
Which program? The district resurfacing, or is it?
District resurfacing,
Just
yes.
resurfacing.
Yes, they're just
So it's
resurfacing.
not the skinny mix?
Well, they just did Clark a couple years ago.
Well, that's why I'm
Okay.
wondering if it's the sand mix.
Well,
that
I
they
might have
just-
misspoken. I know that there was a number of roads that they, I know,
It
and
doesn't
I remember
last long.
Lancaster is on
Well,
that.
Catherine, they run two different types. One of the district ones is like a resurface. They'll put a
Mm-hmm.
layer of half-inch
Shim, yeah.
stone, probably inch and a quarter, inch and a half overlay. The other one is the sand mix where they
Okay.
sort of are almost dragging, just filling ruts and all. So
I-
two different ones. So there may be some on each project. I don't know.
Yes. But I do know that I will be present with all of that and poking the bear, basically. Yes.
Because
Thanks.
those are probably District 3 projects. Check with them to see, like, what are you doing for ditching prior?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've been in touch with Bob Doubleday, the manager at Deal. We've been working very well together this year, and I think we have a good working relationship going forward, so I think we'll be able to get some stuff done.
Excellent. Thanks.
How do you feel about our amnesty weeks?
I hate them. Yeah, I wish we could open, I wish the transfer station was open more,
Do you,
like a 4 or 5 day a week schedule, so that we can minimize our taking it all in 1 week.
have you ever looked at what Northfield does
I've heard,
with their coupons?
yes, and I'm in favor of that. I'm in favor of that, because the amnesty weeks is such an impact on us,
Because it's,
and there's no way of recording
out.
where it's coming from. And I actually had a resident talk to me this past week and said that when the facility was actually built, that it was proposed that the transfer station be open 6 days a week, but that never transpired. So, and that's something I would like to actually entertain going forward.
do you think that coupon system would eliminate the suspected contractors
Absolutely.
that come and dispose of buildings?
Absolutely.
What's the coupon system, Catherine?
I don't know it exactly.
Well, give me kind of a general.
So, what I believe happens is I was talking to a resident the other day, and they get coupons
Yeah.
that allows them to, like, say I have, in the middle of the summer, my refrigerator dies and I have to get rid of it.
Yeah.
I can
Use a
take my
coupon.
coupon and I can bring my refrigerator and I don't pay a fee.
Mhm.
And you get so many coupons.
Okay.
When you register a vehicle or pay your taxes, that's when they're handed out.
Okay.
So if
that
I
we
have multiple
know.
vehicles, do I get more coupons?
I don't. I'm sure there's some logistics involved with that.
Maybe we can look into that.
I would like to,
Pull it-
yes,
pull it
very
up.
much
Can I
so.
find out more about it?
I'd love to.
That'd be awesome.
Yep.
Because if you think about it, it'd also be better for your residents, because right now, they have to hold everything
Store it.
through the winter,
In fact, I just,
or all through the summer.
Yep. Me.
Me.
well, I was asking some questions this past week, and apparently our dumpsters for MSW and metal and construction material has been seasonal, meaning they go away in the wintertime. And I was curious why. And apparently the only reason why they were taken away is for snow removal at the highway department. Oh my goodness, we have a loader. That shouldn't be an impact anymore
Well, that was up to the Public Works Director.
at the
That came
time.
to us.
Yeah. So I just recently contacted NRA and got our dumpsters back. They're supposed to be delivered this week. And we're gonna, because we've already had inquiries at the transfer station, when can I get rid of this? When can I get rid of that? Now, my thought is, it should be year-round. We shouldn't have a stockpile of trash and debris that people are having to hold on to because we don't have the facility to get rid of it.
I'm here to tell you, people throw things in the woods year round.
Yes.
Can't
No,
see it
Well,
the rest of the winter.
A couple of years ago, the Sunday after the amnesty on Manville, they put a couch and chair.
Yeah. It's hard to understand the reasoning sometimes,
Well, that's
but,
good, so.
Jeannie, did you have
figure
a
it out,
comment
research it,
on that?
and Bring it back to us.
yeah.
Jeannie, you have a comment?
This is separate just because Tim's up here and didn't know if you wanted to ask him anything before he goes back down, but we just had a conversation, and Tim advises that we should try to keep at least 50 in the reserve fund. If you can arrange the project so that at the end of the year you have 50 there, that's obligated but not spent, will be okay. And that's based on the projects you brought forward and Winnisquam, right?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
and then the following year, for 2020, we'd be adding to the fund, so.
So that means we'd have to use the block grant money to pay for this stuff.
Oh my goodness.
Tim, since we've got 57,000 in wearing cost next year, I'd want to keep 60 in case the voters said no on adding.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, so
Okay.
at least 50,
Yep.
yeah. So if with the timing of the 57 or 60,
Yep.
I think that's sufficient, yeah.
Okay.
So do we have enough?
He says yes, that you don't need to ask for.
Yeah, you'd have 229 and change right now without any interest during the year. So adding in the 94,000,
Oh.
town meeting approves it.
Okay.
Okay.
So total
Along with
229.
the news of the potentially lower cost for the retaining wall on.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yep. Okay. Makes sense. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate it.
We're good? You're welcome.
Thanks, yeah.
Thank you. Look forward to the next time.
Kevin, just a reminder that the sweeping bids due on the 28th.
You have what?
Sweeping bids are due on the 28th.
Huh.
That time of year.
Yep.
Did you do a single year, multi-year, Kevin, on it?
Single year.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm down to,
Figure it out.
well, I also, I adjusted the sweeping bid. Should I sit down?
You might need to.
I'll let you know, I adjusted the sweeping bid. Past years, apparently every road in town was swept by an outside contractor. I was looking at our system, and we have the bucket loader and the sweeping attachment for the multi-one. We could very easily sweep 90% of our roads, the ones that are not the sand-only routes. For that amount of sand, I would utilize the contractor to come in and do it. But the other roads, which have a minimal amount of sand, we can just utilize the equipment we have and get it done. So that was my thought. Yes.
That'll be the
Yes.
second.
No, I've already spoken to my guys, told them we're gonna have a busy year, so.
With the multi-one,
Yes.
is there any wet suppression, or is it gonna be a cloud of dust sweep?
No, we're already working on a suppression system to do so. Yep, which kind of relates, it kind of mirrors our application of our brine system. We just use the barrel and that apparatus to wet the road down, sweep it up, and take care of it. So,
How do you think the sand issue will be in that problematic area over Amanda Mansville Road, on the corner?
I think that it was corrected over this past
Be
year.
all set?
Yeah, I think it'll be all set, because we installed a silt net, a silt fence. Thank you. We installed a silt fence at the beginning of the year to keep the sand on our portion of
Very nice.
the road. And with some adjustments to the person operating that plow truck, he was able to keep the sand in the road.
Will you make contact with him this spring to see if he's happy?
Absolutely, yes, yep. So, yeah. Another thing I wanted to bring up was I had an employee come up to me and ask about having 2 days off a week for 8 weeks so that he could get some HVAC training.
What's more?
HVAC training, and he wants to pursue this, obviously, to increase his knowledge and get some certifications. But what was presented to me was that he would be able to recycle our freon in our coolant or our refrigerant from the units that we collect during the year. He would be able to do so once he's certified. Just wanted to let you know that this
How
was,
much of an impact would that have on our budget? What does it cost to get rid of?
I haven't. This was just asked of me yesterday. I haven't had time to.
Right now, we accept a refrigerator with
Yes.
propellers in it, right?
Yes, they're $20
How
a
do
unit.
you dispose of it? Do you have somebody come in?
NRA has a company come in and they recycle it. Yes, they collect it all.
$20 a piece?
$20 a piece. We collect $20 a piece when they're brought to us.
And how much does it cost us to get rid of it?
I'm not sure. I haven't researched that yet.
But if I bring it in on amnesty, I'm not paying 20 bucks on
Exactly.
that.
No, you're not.
That's, so,
So he wants 2 days a week off?
He wants 2 days off a week
For how long?
for 8 weeks,
8 weeks.
and then it goes to a night
What
class.
kind of impact will that have on your crew?
Absolutely none. He's yes, it won't have any impact on me. Because we're actually thinking, if we're taking on the Parks Department this year, the Parks and Rec, I'm gonna be asking for a part-timer or 2 part-timers for the summer to help out with that workload. I think that with the guys that I have, that will be busy, but I think they will be okay.
The classes that he's taking, are they significantly to benefit the town of Tilton? Or is it significantly to benefit a private
I would say
adventure?
He's presented it to me that it's going to be both. He wants to utilize his knowledge to benefit us as well as himself. No, we could take it one step further and say, yes, you can have the time off to go to school. When you're done with school and you have your certification, we sign a contract saying you give us at least a year's time to say thank you, or to just be appreciative of us giving him that time to do this.
Is this unpaid time that he's asking, or
Yes.
is it paid time?
No, it's unpaid time. He's just looking for the time off to do so.
is he looking
Not
to do
looking to
310s, 312s?
What's that?
Is he looking to do 310s, 312s?
No, just a reduction in his hours. He's not looking for any.
But in the summer, don't we,
We haven't approached that yet. That was the previous.
When would this occur?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
April 1st?
So
Okay, so April
it wouldn't
1st.
have an impact on your crew, your ability to
Not the
get
winter,
work done?
no.
Not counting on the extra help,
Yes.
the part-time? Okay. I wouldn't have an objection.
I mean,
Go save money on payroll.
a lot of the conversation should probably
Some
be
benefit.
had, non-public, if we're talking about an employee.
I would much rather go into non-public to discuss this, because there's something that we're reading between the lines that I'm not understanding here. We're asking in a full-time employee
You
to
get
give
15
them
minutes.
2 days off to go
No,
to
she
school
canceled.
to benefit himself.
By us.
Benefits. It's going from 40 hours a week to 24 hours a week, but still receiving full-time benefits
Right.
and retirement.
Make a motion, we go into non-public. Personnel.
Compensation?
I'm going to second that.
What's the reason for personnel?
Compensation, yes, compensation.
So I second that. All those in favor say aye.
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 isn't it roll
Roll
call?
call.
It's roll call. I
Constantino, yes.
apologize.
Fogg, yes.
It's been a while.
Dawson, yes.
Oh, Jesse, yes.
Scanlon, yes.
Report is under budget.
I lost my touch. We haven't been in non-public
Thank
A little while.
Long time.
months.
Wait till he shuts the camera off.
We are red. Red is on. And at this time, I would like to make a motion to seal the minutes of the non-public session as they pertain to employee compensation.
Permanently?
Permanently.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to seal the minutes permanently as it pertains to employee compensation. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? So moved unanimously. Thanks.
Very good.
Thanks.
Happy spring.
Yes.
I know you will.
Oh, are the roads posted?
What's that?
Are the roads posted?
The state roads are posted. We're gonna post our roads on the 25th.
Really?
Apparently, there was a time frame of 3 or 4 years where our roads didn't get posted.
Hmm.
But we're gonna go back to posting.
Okay.
Can you turn the sign, please, and open it? Thank you.
Have a good night.
Good
Thank
night.
you very much, Kevin.
Am I up?
I think,
I have something really quick. One thing.
let's see, well, we have Annette and Carmen
They're not coming.
Sarno, who has, I want to make
Yeah.
a note.
Gotcha. I know where you're going.
Thanks for the help.
What about at
guys.
6:30?
Thanks, I'm getting there. Thanks for the help, guys. Annette and Carmen Sarno were on the agenda, cannot make it tonight for the 6 o'clock. And at 6:30, we still have John Sorello on the Historical Society. Until then, here's Jeannie.
Okay. Nope. All right, so you have my report, and under the action items, wanted to talk to you a little bit about the True Green accident. A couple weeks ago, Catherine and I met with Jim Cropsey and DES and DOT. I felt like it was a good meeting and we were headed in the right direction. I hadn't heard anything from Mr. Cropsey, so I followed up with him, I guess last week, and he let me know that he is not going to pursue trying to take care of the damage that was caused by the True Green accident. He had initially told us that he would manage that and his company would be the point of contact. He has since said that that's not going to happen. So we are back to square one about what we're going to do with that damage. And my question to you is, how would you like to move forward on this? Would you like me to get RFPs? I did reach out to Beck and Bellucci and did schedule a meeting with them to tour the site to see what they recommend, because what it seems to me that needs to happen is capstones need to come out of the water, we need a sidewalk, and we need railing. And at this point in time, and I know that the town doesn't want to take ownership, but somebody's got to do something if we're going to get this fixed. And DES isn't going to do anything. DOT's not going to do anything. Mr. Cropsey has said he's not doing anything. So at the very least, I think we need to figure out what needs to be done, what is it going to cost, and are we going to take the lead on this?
I think we can do that without taking ownership of the
Yep.
property.
Can we go after the insurance for more money if it ends up costing us more with Beck and Bellucci?
Absolutely. The insurance company, and they keep sending me emails asking
Okay.
me who's in charge. And,
Let's do it.
all right,
That's my opinion.
And can we talk to the stone fellow that Kevin referred about?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Absolutely. It's not just going to be, but I'm just, again, doing research to figure out what actually needs to be done, and
Yep.
I'll come back to you.
Have we resolved who actually owns it?
No.
That's,
Okay.
On our
Yes.
books, that immediate property is owned by Jim Cropsey.
The wall itself.
And sidewalk?
That's an issue.
So that whole green strip
Yes.
is on his property.
He owns that section. Well, that flight flew right through.
yeah.
I guess, I know, I remember, I'm sorry. The trees, are we going to put a claim in for his trees? that he claims were damaged by the,
I know at least
Or
one
life.
was cut down.
Well, that's really, if you want to, absolutely. It's really,
I think we
it-
should if we're
yep.
going to do
Character of the town.
the
Yep.
whole thing.
As long as it doesn't
Now, is
cost
it gonna be
the
half dead like all the others there? Have you looked at those maples?
Yep.
They're all, what, dying or half dead?
Right, but we still have damage,
Mm-hmm.
and
Well, I
we
don't
have
know
to
if the
talk to
damaged tree
someone
was live or dead.
before we.
Oh, that one was alive.
Oh, they were
Oh,
alive.
they got the live one?
Healthy until that accident.
Okay.
Like, you know what.
okay.
One other question on that. Can we recoup some of the costs for managing this project from the insurance company?
Well, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to call our insurance company and have a conversation about moving forward, but I would think so if we're going to
Because,
manage
you
it.
know, all these hours that
Right.
you spend should be as a project manager for their insurance company in getting this done, and is of great value.
Okay.
So, that's
All
all.
The second thing on my action item is the Community Revitalization Tax Relief Program. I would like to start promoting this program, and you'll see in my email, I'd like to use earned media. Earned media is free media. Get a news story done on it, get it in the paper to show that Tilton is really looking at economic revitalization. These are the things we're doing. I was asked to go on a radio program tomorrow morning that I had been on. They just asked me because of my past. It's not political, but I would like the opportunity to talk about this program and what Tilton is doing, and that's what I suggested to them as a topic, and they were very excited about that. So,
Consensus? Yeah.
Yes.
Great, yes, absolutely.
okay, thank you. And then I assume that's John?
Yeah.
I can stop here and we can let John speak to you and come back to me, if that's what you'd like, Mr. Chairman.
I think that if you're prepared, we're eager to hear from
A
you.
lot of breath, but
That's okay. So,
come up or?
Oh, yeah.
yeah, come on up.
There's a microphone there, so you'll be caught on the camera.
So, we have John Cirillo, and we're going to have a discussion on the Historical Society.
Yes.
So,
I'd like to start a society in town. I'm very much interested in history. I used to live here in Tilton on Colby Road, and the big old white farmhouse that's there, Discolius House, when I first moved up from Massachusetts, Woburn, Mass. Excuse me, a lot of breath. So I have a little bit of a background in history. I really became interested when I bought my first house in Woburn and did some research on it, found out it went back to the 1700s. So I really got into research and things like that down there, and got involved with the city and became the chair for the Historical Commission, which is a regulatory board in the city, and established a Historic District Commission and a demolition delay ordinance as well. So we covered all our bases as far as protecting our historic resources in the city. So then I moved up here, and in 2007, and looked for a historical society or commission in town, and there wasn't any. But that's okay, because we had a brand new daughter, and time-wise, I didn't have a lot of time to devote to it anyway, so it just wasn't the right time. But my first job was right here at the 1875 Inn with Joanna, and I started out just doing maintenance-related things and found out about the history of her house, and started finding out about the history of Tilton, which was fascinating. Left there for the Veterans Home, and that's where I met Gail, and I worked in the grounds department, and still the history was a big part of who I was, so I started researching the history of the Veterans Home and found out about the old soldiers' home and so forth. Excuse me. which was very interesting because they still had in their possession the original hand-drawn plans of the original soldiers' home. And this is them. I'll pass the pictures if you guys could kind of just, I guess, pass them along. We'll start off this end. You know, I don't know if you heard about that one. Okay. So we had these plans, and they were huge. They were like 4 feet by 4 feet. Very old, from 1890. It's what they worked off of to build the soldiers' home, but they were in really bad shape. And I thought it was important to get them out of there for obvious reasons. You'd never know if they would end up in the trash someday. So I found a grant through the state. It was the Moose Plate Grant. I applied for it for $10,000, and I got it. I got $7,200, which was enough to restore the plans, have a conservator restore all the tattered edges and everything, and also to replicate them so that the home could have a working set of plans, so anybody who visited the home that wanted to look at them could, but the originals would be donated to the state library. So that's where they are now, which is a good thing. So I made copies for everybody here. If you could pass those down, you can take one and pass them down. That's the approval for the grant. And we also got them put on microfilm, and we had CDs made. And it didn't get out to the papers or to you folks, I don't think. I don't know if anybody heard that the powers to be didn't want it to get out, so they didn't. But I made, well, I didn't make, but I had an extra copy that I'd love to give to you guys so that you guys have a copy of the plans to look at and to save. So, yeah, that's next. So that was a fun project to work on. And the plans were fascinating. If you guys looked at the pictures, they're very detailed. The next thing that I happened upon there was we had a big salt shed out back, and the water would puddle right out in front of the salt shed. So the maintenance department and I went out and we dug a swale to divert the water out. And we started coming across black soil, very dark soil, and then pieces of pottery, glass, which wasn't a big deal. But then I recognized them because down in Massachusetts I was coming across them, fragments of clay smoking pipes. So then that automatically dates that site because they stopped making clay smoking pipes by the late 1800s, early 1900s. So I knew that we hit something. So we called the state archaeologist, and he came down, and he looked at the site, and he said, we have to do a dig. So we put the grid down, and he had a group come in, and we got to participate too, which was a lot of fun. We had to sift everything so that we didn't miss anything small, and there was all kinds of buttons and medical bottles, vials, because they had a hospital on site. We found an early burn pile. So they were taking all the trash, basically, and hauling it as far as they could from the main building and just burning all the trash. And of course, things like buttons and glass and pottery wouldn't burn, so that's what's still, left in the soil. But the buttons, when we cleaned them off, had designs on them, and upon further research, we found out that they were Civil War uniform buttons. So as the soldiers were dying, they didn't have family, they would burn their uniforms to get rid of them. But we found buttons from the New Hampshire militia, because on the buttons would be the state seal, the Vermont militia, and Maine's militia. So they had soldiers from all 3 states staying there at some point. One of the kids held up a pipe, a metal pipe, and I took it from him. It was about 10 inches, and I cleaned it off, and there was holes in it, and then it was a flute. Somebody, one of the soldiers made a tin whistle, made a flute. So we had a flute. We found a lot of really neat things, a lot of farming equipment, a lot of medical stuff. And at some point, the original farmhouse that was there was the Savage Farm that Charles Tilton bought and donated for the veterans home. They converted the farmhouse into their hospital. So at some point, when they had to get rid of the house because the rest of the complex grew, they basically burned everything. And the archaeologist was thinking that this might have been the site where they burned a lot of the farmhouse, because a lot of the glass was actually melted. And for that to happen, the temperatures would have to be really high, and there'd have to be a lot of some sort of accelerant, which would be the timbers from the farmhouse. So it was really interesting piecing that together. And here's the story. If you want to take one and pass them down, you guys can keep one. That was kind of fascinating. The state has the buttons and the rest of the artifacts. They were going to do a display at the State House. I just emailed them last week to find out if they still have them, and they still have them. But if you walk into the front lobby of the Veterans Home, they have it behind glass. They have a couple of the buttons that I salvaged from the New Hampshire militia there on display. So, there's a lot of interest in town for the society. I kind of just put the fishing hook out there to see who would bite, and a lot of people, I have about 50 people on the list that are interested in joining already. And that's without even really publicizing it. I think it's a good time. I don't know if it's because of the 150th coming up, or it's just time. All our surrounding communities have societies, San Bernardino, Franklin, Belmont. We're the only ones who doesn't have an active one right now. So I think it's the right time and the right place to get one going. And the Northfield has one. They're not terribly active, and I joined for a little while. And I actually wanted to have a joined one with them. But I don't think it's the right time for them right now. There's not a lot of interest to join us. Maybe at a later time. But it could be a mixed blessing if they did too, because if we did join with them, and then let's say we want to apply for a grant to replace the statue that was on the island, they might say, well, why are you spending money in Tilton and not in our community, kind of, then that starts. So it might be better to keep things simple. But again, history doesn't have boundaries. There's going to be a lot of overlap with all the surrounding communities and states even. We're just so historically rich up in this area. So there's going to be a lot of overlap and sharing, which is what it's all about. The library is very excited about us getting together. They already offered that we can meet there as many times as we want. They actually need somebody, a group, which I'm sure we'll find members, to catalog everything that they have. They don't even know what they have. So everything's disorganized. So it would be good for a subgroup of us to go and categorize all the photographs, all the postcards, all the memorabilia. There's photographs of classrooms from years and years ago. There's this. I took a quick look. She opened up about 6 drawers. I only got through 1 drawer. There's so much stuff there, and it's amazing the things that are in there. Yeah, I was shaking when I left because it's so exciting to see those things that you don't normally see online. So our group would do that. We're not going to be regulatory. It's going to be a fun thing to do. Our main mission is going to be education. We want to get the kids involved. A lot of ideas on how to do that. Possibly graveyard tours, where we contact the history department and the drama department, and we have the kids act out little vignettes of the people that are buried in certain areas of the cemeteries, and have little plays there. A good way to hook kids when they're young, to get them interested in history, make it real for them. But that's important too. A lot of societies die out because the members eventually peter out, and we want to start out with bringing in the young kids from the very beginning, so that's very important. But holiday house tours, historic plaques for historic buildings. People could buy plaques to put in front of their house saying that, you know, this was so-and-so's house and the dates, you know, we would research that. And help the town out with anything that you guys need. You know, there's talk about bringing the island back. That would be the crown jewel for Tilton, to have that restored historically to a lot of the things, what it had. A lot of the statues that are missing could be replicated. It goes on and on. There's just so much that the town could do, and the more people you bring together that have a love for history, I think the better it's going to be to get these things done.
You ought to see the mural up at the senior center.
Yeah, who did that? Was it already there? Because that was the Grange, right?
Oh, it's been there for
It was already there. It was-
hundreds of years,
it was green.
maybe over 100 years.
Really?
Now it's twirled up on a, if you touch it, the paint starts to come off. We wanted to
Yeah,
go
it was a
with
restoration.
loose paint to be restored. It's
Yeah.
old,
Yeah, you need somebody who knows what they're doing.
but it
to
would fit in this space.
really.
That's how big it is.
What is it up?
It's
See?
it's a scene. It's a winter scene.
Wonder who does it have the artist's signature?
Yes.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Saying. We did a little bit of research on the island and the big bandstand or summer house that used to be out there that Charles Tilton, I guess, paid for. But it had that big eagle on the top of it.
Maybe they could go get the eagle back.
Good luck.
Is that the show?
I know. It's 16 feet across.
Oh, I've seen it many times.
They had metal rods in the wings to hold the wings up, and I guess that there's tiny holes on the wings, which indicates that it was covered with sheet metal,
Yep.
so that standing snow or rain wouldn't rot the wings out and everything. But there's someone down in Woburn, there's a studio down there who specializes in replicating statuary, historic statuary, and they'll make it out of polymer, which is much lighter, much tougher, doesn't rot, but it's also repairable if there's any vandalism or whatever. And he does he'll copy it exactly. He's amazing. They do it all by laser. But the statue that's missing on the island could be replaced. The eagle would be an exact replica. And somebody said it's too big. But, you know, that's part of why it's so spectacular, is because it's so big, you know, not only the sculpture and everything,
Well, if you look at
everything
it
about it.
on the summer house,
It looks small.
knowing how big it is, you can see how big the summer house was.
Look at some of those pictures of the summer house, because in
I
a
know.
couple of them, there's a chair in it, and that's when you grasp how
And there's
big
people in it.
this whole thing really was. It was huge.
Yeah, it was huge.
And-
And the foundation is still visible.
And there's a lot of fascinating things about the island, because it was Charles Tilton's front yard. He'd sit up in his deck and, you know, and he wanted to make it pretty so he could look out. But it had a fish pond, the whole island. It had a fish pond in it with goldfish. It had a cherub in the water that spit water up. It had fountains that would spit up 18 feet in the river.
Wait, around what period of time was that?
In the late 1800s, when that was the heyday here. So, but it was really something to look at when it was up and had everything going. It was a garden. It was a beautiful garden. So there's that.
You know, I've been watching on the Facebook page.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden people are coming out of the woodwork, literally with all kinds of stuff.
But you know, you need somebody to light that match,
That
and
is
then they'll come out of
great.
that's what happens.
Yeah.
Where it's ripe right now. And something you guys should consider too, besides the society, is for you guys to get some regulatory commissions in place. A Heritage Commission and a Historic District Commission. Because right now you have no protection for any of your old homes. I'm not saying that Tilton School would do it, but if they wanted to, they can go down to the building department, pull an application for demolition, and legally they'd be able to knock down the Tilton Mansion by law, because there's no protections in town for it. The whole Tilton School area, the whole campus should be a historic district. All the downtown should be a historic district. But Juliet pointed out that it has that designation now, but it's federal. It's not, even state won't count. It has to be local. It has to be through the town of Tilton, and then you can't demolish anything if it's in the district.
Doesn't that kind of bind the hands of the property owner? And aren't we
No.
required to live free and die state?
No, because the Historic District Commission members, if something is falling apart, it's deteriorating, and it's beyond salvage, they could approve it and say,
Or
you
not?
know, it's beyond, yeah, or not.
And I'm thinking of a store in Gilmington Corners that had no historic significance, but because it was in the historic district, they couldn't put the window it wanted in their kitchen. And they had to put in a historic window
But
in a building that it didn't
that's up to
belong in.
that's up to the commission.
And that's why I'm
It's up to
saying,
the commission to make those, they could be as strict as they want or not. It has to, it'll all be spelled out. Some of them are excessive. They even go down to the colors that things could be.
that's
But
what
then
I'm
it's up
saying.
to you guys as the selectmen to decide what you want your town to look like. Do you want it
That's
to
up to our
look,
master plan.
do you want it to have a historic section that looks historical, or do you want to mix?
I
Or
don't
do you-
think we're ready for people to tell us when to mow our lawns and what kind of shrubs we can
Mm,
plant.
I don't
or
know.
not.
Do a little research. It's not like that. Call them. It's not like that.
It certainly wasn't Gilmington.
It's talk to the folks at, let's see. Preservation, I wrote them down. Yeah,
I'm all set with a historical group, but not,
the Charitable Trust Division, and a lot of the other groups will explain it a little better. Here you go. I actually printed these out for you guys. Again, there's nothing to protect anything right now. You might want to consider something. Let's see what else pass them down.
oh, I have this.
Okay.
That's in my planning.
Those are all the bylaws, state bylaws for historic districts and heritage commissions. So,
Planning.
Part of
Oh,
your
yeah, that was-
stuff.
yeah. So the New Hampshire Preservation Alliance and the New Hampshire Division of Historical Resources will kind of shed some light on all of that. It's not as stringent or strict as you might think that they are.
Depends on the members, doesn't it?
It depends on the members, but also, it also depends on what you guys decide on what you want. They're going to work with the selectmen. Matter of fact, they can only suggest things to your board. They can't say you can't do this. You guys are in control. If you adopt the demolition delay ordinance, then they would be responsible to carry that out. And it buys time, you can make it 6 months, a year, to try to negotiate with the person, you know, can you restore the building, or we'll let you build in the back, and maybe approve setbacks. It'll just buy a little time, but we did it in Woburn, and they weren't sorry about it. It's a city of 39,000 people. It worked there. There wasn't any complaints. We thought that there would be. They had the same questions as you. So, and I was on the city council at the time too, and we were part of the group that approved it. So we had we were nervous. But we were glad we did it because it saved a lot of very important properties. And in the end, those properties became very popular, and they were glad that they did it.
You've got the little canal down there.
We had the Middlesex Canal, yes.
A beautiful
The first
job
big
restoring
dig
the house right
from
at the
Lowell to
Rotary.
Haymarket. 6 communities it went through, all dug by hand,
And that
and then the
building-
railroad put it out of business.
And the building right there by
Uh,
highway,
Baldwin
the house,
Mansion.
Baldwin Mansion.
I was just talking about that. That was the building we wanted to save. They were
They're
putting a
gonna-
Chinese restaurant in it,
Yep.
right? And they were gonna tear apart the whole inside of it and redo the rooms. And that's when I pushed the council to adopt the Historic District Commission and go through that. And that was the first building in that area to get put into the first historic district. That building would have been gone.
And then the funds came through and restored the building. And
And
then
now-
it turned into a park.
It's
and
one of
put
the
some
most popular places in Boston. They
Go
have this
from all
bar, like a beer bar. It's voted one of Boston's best beer bars and stuff. It's like a go-to thing. And you try to make a correlation too, because everybody's like, that's a Revolutionary period building and a famous, lieutenant lived there and all this stuff. What does, anything Chinese have to do with it? When Loami Baldwin lived there, one of the biggest rages of the time was to import Chinese products, pottery,
Toothpaste.
everything. Everything was coming from
Big
China
thing.
because it was the big China trade. So, there was a connection to China. But yeah, that was a good thing that happened. And, had we waited till the last minute, that building would have been gone.
So you have about 50 people that want to join in on the society. And
Yep.
it's the Tilton Historical Society.
Well, the group has to vote. It's not John Surreal's society. The group has to
So
vote.
it's going to be under the town. It
No.
is?
There's no connections to the town.
No connection to the
It's
town.
a 501 and
A separate,
yeah.
okay?
So it's just a group of people who love history that are coming to. It's like a
Okay.
club.
Got it?
And if you want to join, you could join. If you don't want to join, you don't have to. But we want to do programs. We'll be doing programs on the Soldiers' Home, all the statues in town. Different things to bring people in to raise money. We'll have our meetings in different places. Our first meeting is going to be at the Black Swan. Onions is interested. So maybe the Tilton School. We haven't approached them yet.
No, wouldn't some of these different
Senior
items
center.
or,
Don't forget the senior center.
when people find different
That'd be a
items
nice place.
and they start becoming a collection, I'm sure you'll have like a curator. And where would these things be housed? Because if
We
they
don't
all
have
go
a
to...
place for that now. If we raise enough money, we'd like to buy a property to have as a museum. And so we could showcase a lot of the stuff that we eventually will collect. Right now, if people want to donate items, we can't take them. We don't have a place to store them, and we shouldn't store them at any one particular person's house.
Yeah, because those all things disappear.
Things could disappear, but a horror story I found out from Franklin, one of the people that's on that society, one of them was gracious enough to open up his home to have for storage, and he passed away, and he was in his 60s. He passed away young, and the family wouldn't allow anybody to touch anything that was in the house, because he had his own antiques and everything, and there was no paperwork documenting anything. They lost everything. They lost the whole collection that was there. So we'd rather not go that route. We'd rather wait until we could buy a property. We want to actively collect photographs and most likely house them at the library. But again, we have to get everything there at the library organized to make sure that everything's safe. Because
It's a huge concern. As you can see, that can happen if it goes to somebody's house and then it catches fire or...
Absolutely.
It's on them.
I mean, that could
And now
happen at the library
you've
too, maybe less.
Gathered everything together and then now it's going in batches. So that's a...
Things you
But
never
it's
think
great
of
to-
that could happen, So, but eventually we'd probably get hit with a lot of people that want to donate items, but right now we can't. So
It's great.
it's going to be a fun thing, I think, and a good thing.
I think it's very exciting, John.
Yeah.
And what a
And we
great year
encourage
to
all of you
start.
guys to participate too, and you don't have to become members.
Yeah.
You can still come to the meetings, you just won't have voting privileges, which isn't going to be that much. Once a year, we're going to vote in new board members and, try to circulate that.
So that's standing, you're gonna get the young people involved. That's huge.
That's the biggest
That's huge.
part of what I want to do. And in the past, I've worked with kids, and they're so fascinated by everything, which is
They
the
are.
best part because they get so excited about everything.
Don't your daughter just as equally and excited?
Absolutely. She wanted to come to the meeting tonight, and I told her she couldn't.
Oh.
She's 11 now, but we had kids participating in the graveyard tours that we did, and they had such a great time. And you know how it is, when you get hooked on things young, that stays with you the rest of your life.
Yes, it does.
So that's why it's so important. And if we could hook up with the history teachers and the drama teachers in town, I mean, both the, Winnisquam and the Tilton School, maybe even combine both, it'd be so much better and make it a yearly thing. And we could have plays in the school of characters in town,
This is a great year to get this started. This is our 150th
Right.
anniversary. And anything that can also, when you guys get together, what we could do to augment our celebrations or even have some of the kids.
Judy
play some
Tilton's
parts.
very interested. She's going to be in the group. Juliet's on board. We have Scott Haskins in Northfield who's interested. Any of you guys want to jump in, we'd love to have you. But it's going to be a fun thing. And everybody's ideas will count. If you came up with an idea and you wanted to do a project, you'll probably have to head off the project, but you'll get our support to participate and back you up and make it come into reality. But we want everybody's voice to be important in this group. So
John, when's
John.
your first meeting?
we haven't set a date yet. I wanted to come here first tonight. I'm going to call them tomorrow. I could let you guys know.
We can put it on our website.
Okay. And they're going to give us a tour of the Black Swan Inn and tell everybody about the history of that place, which they told me it was fascinating. But yeah, then we'll probably have the following month our next meeting. But the first couple of meetings are going to be a little boring. Our first one will be just to introduce everybody to everybody, what we're going to be doing, basically everything that I'm saying right now tonight to you folks. But already online, as you saw, there's a ton of interest.
Wow. Yeah.
It's just dripping. People are just so relieved of being able to participate in this. And we found out where the elk went that was in front of the library. We found out all these things that everybody's like, well, where did that go? What happened to this? And, little bits and pieces from different places come together and you start getting the whole picture of what happened in the past. But that's what it's about for the community. And it builds a lot of pride. Everybody's going to be really happy to be here in Tilton and look what happened here. And, my grandparents did this or great-grandparents. So that's what it should be about.
A municipality can lose their history.
What's that?
I said a municipality can lose their history.
Right.
Nobody's caretaking it.
You have to keep bringing it forward and you have to be repetitive. And once you do that, and especially if you hook the kids, because then you hook the parents, and it's amazing when you start talking about things, kind of like I did with the veterans home. You start bringing people's interests in. It's like, oh, that's really cool. Even people who aren't into history, some things are very interesting.
See the buttons.
So, yeah, they were really cool to find.
I think it's wonderful what you're doing.
Thank you, thank you.
John,
it's fun.
You've mentioned gravestones for a couple of times.
Yeah.
Tap into Kim Souls, the deputy downstairs. She's over 35 years, gravestone historian.
Really?
She's gone all over New England, gravestone rubbing and teaching. Like, for instance, she'd go to Salisbury and she would go to the class and then take them out into their own graveyard and teach them the symbolisms and the gravestones.
Yeah.
And in their own backyard to teach them about what's going on.
Yeah.
We have a house full of gravestone rubbings to prove it. But tap into that brain, and she would absolutely love it. History background on it, and a member of the Gravestone Association.
One of the things we should
Huge
do.
resource.
One of the things we should do, if it hasn't been done yet, that's one of my
And I
questions
don't think she
tonight.
knows about the Historical Society, so it would be a good opportunity to
Okay.
do it.
Do we have an inventory of our graveyards? Do we know who's here?
Ralph Sellers recently, well, a couple of years ago, recently, did a book of inventory of a lot of the cemeteries.
In town here?
In town here in Salmon, of course, our history is connected with Salmon.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he's up on 132.
What was his name?
Ralph Sellers.
Ralph Sellers, right on the corner of Lancaster Hill Road in Route 132, the big farmhouse that sells the
Yeah.
gladiolas right
Oh,
there.
yeah.
That's Ralph Sellers.
That's right.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah, so we should have inventories for each one. We have a lot of graveyards in town, a lot of little pockets, like on Clark Road, and where you least expect it at the car wash, you know? That's a strange one.
I own one that has some of the oldest
Really?
residents of Tilton
Where?
Their property.
on my property.
Does it have the stones?
No, it's the Bamfords.
It's what?
Bamfords, Bamford Brook.
And it has the old stones there? And it,
Mhm.
wow. Huh, that's amazing. There must have been so many family burial sites, you know, that got lost through the years.
Out back.
You never know.
My dad is.
He's out back.
He's so
Yeah.
bad.
Steel Hill has, theirs is amazing. They have it right up at Steel Hill. Matter of fact, the original owners, the parents of the people that own it now, their parents are buried up there too, but their gravestones go way back and tucked away in the back. It's beautiful.
I used to
Um,
play in that graveyard.
But if we have an inventory, they're one of the best places to hang out.
Oh, yeah.
I grew up in the north end of Boston where there wasn't a stitch of grass anywhere. It was all tenement buildings and everything. We used to hang out at Coxville Burial Ground because
Yeah.
that was the only place you could hang out that had any grass on the ground.
Yeah.
We used to have picnics up there when I was like 5 or 6.
I've done rubbings up in there.
Yeah,
Also.
graveyards are very peaceful. But if we got an inventory in the future as grants come up, we could do stone restoration. You know, a lot of them had elaborate, you know, designs and everything. Some of them are missing pieces and urns or whatever. But, you know, we could apply for things that would restore them back to what they should be, or to replace stones that are badly damaged and can't read anymore.
Ralph would be a good place to start.
Yeah.
He did a lot of research.
How do I get this? Knock on his door? Or?
We must
Older
have his-
gentleman?
We must have his phone number.
Yeah, his number's in the,
Well,
He's a great guy.
Yeah.
yep.
gladiolas
I
usually
know
are
the house.
planted in the spring, so, and he grows quite a few, so I'm sure when you drive by, you'll see them putting the gladiola bulbs out there.
He used to donate big bunches to the veterans home.
Yeah.
He just bring in big things of them. So. But there's a lot more ideas. I won't bore you guys with. There's just so many things that we can do.
I don't think it's boring,
bring-
but we could go on for hours.
We could. We could.
We will.
So, and that's a good thing because everybody has something that they want to bring to the table. But it's great for unifying, you know, everybody in town too. We're just gonna shut this off.
Excellent. Thanks.
His number.
Well, thank you. Thanks for the visible support on this. It's going to be, I think,
It's
something
exciting.
everybody's going to enjoy.
I'll help in any way I can. I
Thanks,
just
guys.
can't add another committee, though.
No, and whatever you want to give, we'll take. You know, if you want
Alright.
to come to an occasional meeting, or if I need something and I
Yeah.
don't know how to get in touch with someone, or
You got my
that's going to be
number.
important too. Connections of.
You got
Yeah.
my number.
There's some interesting stuff around Town Hall. I'm sure you saw the case over there when you came in.
Yeah.
Very interesting thing up on the stage, you know, if you saw that.
No.
You had to be able to read one of those, not to be able to vote until.
Oh, really?
That's hysterical.
If you could not read it, you could
You
not
can't
vote.
Oh, that's funny. Wow.
So,
I hear the
With
Tilton
votes.
School has a lot of stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I heard they don't also know what they have too. So maybe they'll let us inventory stuff there too.
mhm.
So it would be good to know what we have, because there might be stuff that's, you know, totally mind-blowing, and we don't know that it's even there.
Yep.
But the library has been amazing, and they said you have everything that's up in the attic, you want to go up there and see what's there and start cataloging, and like, I'm sure that we'll get people together and be able to do that, and so that they know what they have, you know.
Good job.
We have in the basement, the first
Thank you.
oil furnace in town.
All set? Well, thanks.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
so much,
I
John.
appreciate it, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Good to put a new face
Thank
with
you.
the name.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah, thanks.
You're good.
Good night.
Thank you.
Nice band. Very nice.
You want me to continue?
Yeah, yeah, 'cause you were on for something, so you can finish up yours.
Yeah, you have your final copy of
Are
the,
you down here, Jeannie?
what?
I can't hear you.
You have the final copy of your deliberative session?
No.
final?
Yes, it's in your packet.
The one we did?
The new and improved one.
It's in,
Yeah.
it's in your packet.
Now I can hear you.
Okay,
Yes.
wow. Yes.
Who's in mine?
So what,
So,
I've got the one I wrote all over.
well, there was a,
right here,
yep.
I know what it looks like.
in the packet.
So it's ready to go unless you have any changes you want to make. That's kind of your cliff notes for Saturday. Didn't know if you had any questions.
It looks like it's idiot-proof. Mr. Moderator, I move.
It's perfect for me.
Well, so I just have to tell you a real quick story if you think it's idiot-proof. So last night was our meeting
Yep.
in Meredith, our selectmen's town meeting. And after what happened last night, he said to come back first thing this morning, make sure ours was correct, because ours last night was incorrect,
Ooh.
very badly incorrect. So we passed these out to the selectmen. I had my, we all had ours. But in the book itself, the annual report, the numbers were wrong in what we were reading off of. The article numbers were wrong.
Ouch.
Yeah. So Gail checked it out for me one more time this morning to make sure that we're good to go on our end.
So we should all also take a look through just to be
Yep.
sure. 'cause you don't
Well,
know.
I think go ahead and read through everything and make your own notes. I just kind of put bullet
it's great.
points, and you might want to.
I just
Have
make
other
sure
things.
the articles in her packet match with the articles in the town
Right.
report.
Will we have paper and pens like we
Yes.
normally do?
Simple.
Yes. All right. So
Just like the rest
that was it for my action items. You can read the FYI. I put on my report next week's agenda. Annette didn't come, and I guess I'm Annette Sarno. I guess I'll just talk to her on the phone and find out. I don't know if we're going to try to reschedule that. Chuck Mitchell stopped in to talk to me about a grant for a map they have, Moose Plate grant, which next week I think I've told you before that I'm on the board of the New Hampshire Preservation Alliance, so I'm going to check with them to see about getting funding for that.
For what again?
Well, he's got a map that's about 8 feet long. It's 104 inches by 25 inches. And it's of the Winnipesaukee River as it flows through Tilton. Pretty cool. It's dated, I think, 1911. So he wanted to see about getting it preserved, mounted, and then hung here somewhere in Town Hall. He also mentioned up on David Wadley's property that there is a generator that he believes is the town's generator.
No, it's not.
Sewer.
Okay,
No, it's a former sewer commission generator that was decommissioned and he purchased.
okay, so it's not ours, all right. Need to find out from you what you would like the term to be for the new Main Street Committee. I suggest 3 years. 3 to 5 years. This is for and they will be signing up again, and then I will bring all that paperwork to all of you to sign off on as the new committee.
Yeah, aren't they rotating, so 3 years, 2 years, 1 year?
Yes, and I'm just talking about the length of the actual committee. Would you want to renew it every 3 years, or do you have it indefinite? Because it does ask for that on the paperwork.
I would like to have a little more insight of what they're doing.
I agree. And I thought maybe Julia, but I'm actually meeting with her next week because I've had that conversation with her. If you see in your packet or in the FYI, I included that press release that was in the paper, and I just want to I think it's important for all of you to understand how this committee works with the selectmen. As I explained to her, I would not want to see something show up in the paper and have somebody ask a selectman about it and you not know what it's about.
I'll have a
Because it's a
selectman read and
selectman's,
say, what the heck?
right.
Right.
But I also don't want to stymie them.
No, I agree.
But I
I
agree with you.
I think that's important. You've got a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of people who are ready to go. You certainly don't want to do that, but I think you need to open the lines of communication so that everybody understands and there's no misunderstanding about what's happening.
I had that mentioned to me 3 or 4 times. I have to admit, I had no idea what it was. And the last person insisted that it was a tax relief. So all I could think of was
So
that it's not,
no, it's,
but they insisted it was.
yep.
And I had no idea, which is fine, I don't mind not knowing, but they had created this really wrong information and wondered how the Board of Selectmen could relieve somebody of paying taxes. I was like, they can't. There's your answer, but they insisted.
Yep. So I have put out the employee survey, and the deadline for responses is this Friday. And once I get all those responses back, I'm going to sit down and collate them and then present to you what has come out of that. I did talk to the chief about the variable message board. You said you wanted it used more. He explained that particularly in the winter, the cold weather kills the battery, which is why they don't use it as much in the winter, but he'll get it back out there and start using it now that spring is here.
Father Franklin, interestingly enough.
Okay.
We have something and we're not going to use it. Wow.
And Primex is offering a workshop on strategic thinking in May that I would like to go to. It's free, but one of the conditions is that I need to bring somebody from the town with me. And it would be good if I had a selectman who would be interested in going. And the idea of this is really strategic thinking for the town.
What is it?
Strategic thinking. So,
When is it?
it is May 14th, it's on a Tuesday, from 9 to 3. It's at the Omni Mount Washington,
I could go with you on the 14th.
okay?
We won't be scheduling any inspections for that part of the month.
I just thought that this was something nice as we look at what we're trying to do with economic development in the community and what our vision is and how we want to move forward, that this might fit nicely into that. So it can be more than one selectman if,
That was my next question.
yes, yeah, they actually encourage more than
Joe,
one.
You ought to let them know.
you want to go, Joe?
At least I'm thinking so.
He's thinking about it.
So what I'll do is I'll shoot you all an email with a copy of this so you can look at it.
I will be having,
I would love to go, but I got to figure out the schedule.
You might let them know that if they'd like more selectmen to come, they ought to try to schedule things outside of normal work days, because most selectmen have
Oh.
JOBs.
I thought you were going to say closer to home.
No, I don't mind to travel, but it's like, everything they do is during the work week.
That is, if you could voice that to them. too.
I will.
I do that because it's during their work time.
I understand.
But they're supposed
But
to
don't
be doing
complain
stuff
when we
for us.
don't come.
Right, exactly.
I think that's it for me right now, unless you have any questions for me.
Didn't we talked about somebody that was going to do a class on, was it right to know or something, the attorney volunteered?
John Radigan, I think once we get past town meeting, he
He did a great job with this before, so.
yeah. And certainly we can ask him about right to know, but what he had offered was planning and zoning board.
That's
Yep,
huge.
I think that's the one.
I'd like to see
And-
the variance, the 5 criteria are explained, I think.
Okay. Okay.
Because you have to follow the criteria.
once we get past town meeting, and you'll see in my FYI, I talked about that I've attended a couple Primex workshops, which I think have been very helpful. And once we get past town meeting, I plan to really get moving on this employee handbook. So that's it for me, unless you have any questions.
Everybody? Anybody?
You're gonna be at town meeting. Gail, you gonna be at town meeting?
There's 7.
Okay.
Alrighty.
By the way, this is my, what, 4th town meeting, 3rd town meeting? Or 4th?
Well, we're going to just go right in with selectmen's
Oh, I'm
reports.
sorry, I'm sorry. Well, I do have one more thing. So the 150th committee met this afternoon, and they have a letterhead that they've created that I just thought that you all should take a look at. It looks pretty good, but since the 150th is under the select board, I thought you might want to see it. They're starting to look for sponsorships.
Somebody's really talented.
Kelly? The hand drawn poster, what you saw. Oh, thing was.
Sheena. Yeah.
A poster
That's
that
amazing.
she's
Yeah.
hand drawing, and she has a preliminary thing done in natural size. It's like big Tilton art, and it's got all the, it's very nice. Wait to see.
Oh,
Yes.
I just
Then it reminded
had one question about, it seems like everything that we do, we always show the arch. Not that we shouldn't, but we might want to think of other things in Tilton that we could put in some of our, fronts of our pages and.
So that is
Well,
our,
it's
that
a
is our
town seal.
official
What is
symbol.
a town
That's
seal?
There's always pictures of it everywhere, but it's like the
Some of
Northfield
her
Arch.
other drawings, she's going to incorporate some of the statues.
Yes, yes. And I actually do have one more thing. Sorry about that. Catherine had mentioned, I think, a couple meetings ago about this idea of the Bittern Lane, transferring that to MB Tractor or selling it to MB Tractor, and we just missed the deadline in terms of being able to put it on the warrant because it is considered a public way. It does have to go on the warrant. I did do a little research, met with Dari, and to find out where we're at with that. Basically, the DOT, they want a driveway permit to be able to get back to what they've that storage place that they have in the back, MB Tractor. So we have the application for the driveway permit, and I would like Dari to come in next week and speak with you about what this is so that we can, because it sounded to me like from talking to you that you really would have liked to have gotten this moved over. Can't do it till next year. They're interested in buying that piece of property from the town, but they really need to get the driveway permit, and the town, because they own it, has to be the applicant.
My concern is that we didn't cause any delays to this, because in my heart of hearts, I feel that's what happened to the sports center. So I wanted to make sure that this, went smoothly without delays. So my question is, did you talk to Dave Sylvia, DOT, to see if there was any requirement that DOT was going to make of them? I mean, I can't
They
imagine that there is.
They actually laid out, the DOT laid out what they wanted.
What is that? Do we know?
Yes, it's right here. But I am not a engineer. That's why I thought I can certainly give you a copy of this, but I thought it'd be good to have Dari come and talk with you about it. So it's essentially, from what I understand, it's just widening the road a little bit and putting in a, I want to say, in a guardrail or
I've seen
something.
those,
Yeah.
So that's
Are
what
they
they
going-
want, that's what they wanted with the sports center.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't exactly a right turn lane because it wasn't going to be the full required width of a right turn lane. So it sounds like they're going to have them do similar. to
Other
the
than, I
sports
guess it
center.
doesn't need lights or sidewalks because it's not children
The sidewalk
related.
came from the town.
Okay.
That was one of our requirements.
And would we need that for this because it's just driving vehicles back
As
there?
the Public Works Director had an opportunity to look at the road to determine if there's culverts that need to be replaced or anything.
That's, concern the drainage, that will change the way the water flows around the curve.
And would not DOT look at that?
Yeah, they're gonna,
No, this is our road.
It's our road.
Okay.
no, the turn lane, they're gonna have to take
Yeah.
care of their drainage from it. They can't dump their drainage onto Bitter, just like we can't dump it on theirs.
So the short answer is I haven't talked to Kevin, but I will.
Do we have a blueprint or just a list of directives from DOT?
We actually have,
So the crosswalks covered, drainage.
Oh, this is very similar to what?
right, that's my understanding. So
So
I just
It'd
wanted
be the same
to,
as whatever they were doing for the sports center.
It's similar.
Yeah.
It's not exactly. It's similar.
but it's what the DOT is requiring
Look on the
of,
back of that, Catherine, there's something on the back, the second page.
it's what the DOT is requiring
That's,
of MB
details.
Tractor.
Okay.
But because we own that piece of property, we need to be the applicant.
I'd like a copy of that before next week,
Sure.
so I don't have to say, well, I want to read this first.
I know it's come up a bunch of times with a very similar plan, and we might want to make sure that if we've had specific comments, and that was the things that held up the plan with that sports complex, because they never,
We don't want to go through that again.
we would go and have comments and questions, and then nothing would get
Nothing would come
returned.
back.
And then they'd say, you guys haven't, you're holding us up. And it's like, no, we sent you all this, and they haven't been addressed. So we'll make sure they.
You can have that one if you want and get that back. And I'll send you all copies via email. But I guess my thought process is, it sounds like, if I'm hearing it correctly, you'd like, if we had the time, you would like to have given the property over to MB Tractor. That's not going to happen this year. They need to get this done to be able to move forward. So if we can agree on this, and if you have any questions, and like I say, I'll have Dari come next week, maybe we can get this thing moving in off your plate and move on to other projects.
I wish that the DOT would create something other than a driveway permit for access onto town road. It just seems silly. Dari understands that that driveway permit comes from the Board of Selectmen and not planning. Because it's access to a town road,
Right,
not a
and
driveway to a town road.
Catherine,
Yeah.
didn't we give that to the Public Works Director?
No, this is not a driveway permit. This is access from Route 3 onto a town road.
The driveway permits, though, I
The
thought.
driveway permit that he would get from Dari would be from his property onto Bitter Lane at the far end. That would come from planning. This is technically not a driveway permit.
I thought, yeah, but I thought the driveway permits on town roads we kicked to Public Works.
Oh, we did for a while until we found out that state statute actually said that it was something that the planning board was supposed to do.
Okay.
That was a few years ago.
Yeah, but-
Because they know more about road construction.
well, I think it had more to do with the impact on properties.
well, that's all I have. I'm
Are
done.
you sure?
Yes, I'm sure now.
It's good. It's great. Looks good so far. I mean, quick glance. Okay, so, I think what we did last week.
Wicked quick.
What
Wicked quick.
did we do last week? Go ahead, Ed. Quick.
The Every Child is Our members, Lisa, Emily, and Iris, are doing a flapjack fundraiser, $10 a ticket at Tilton Applebee's to benefit the Winnisquam School District's unpaid student meal debt on Saturday, March 23rd, 2019, they would like to put up a banner on the island fence.
That would be great, because maybe I'd remember.
Yes. I would say yes.
Consensus, yes,
Yes.
the standard size and all that.
Yes,
I'd
standard
say use
size.
the variable message board, but we got to save the battery.
Peter votes yes.
You know what, this is our son now, why couldn't we use the variable message?
Oh, if we use it, it's gonna wear it out quicker, Catherine. We gotta keep it
So we
nice
have-
and clean, packed away.
Anybody object to it?
No.
No.
Got it, okay.
If you need help moving the variable message board, let me know. I'll bring my pickup.
Okay.
Where is it?
Should be at Highway.
Nobody.
They're gonna put a banner up. Thank you. I'm all done.
Wow.
Peter.
I'm good. Wow, first 2 weeks in a row.
Joe, come on.
Pass.
Catherine? Come on, guys. What's going
Make
on here?
something
This is
up.
amazing.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I just,
You wanna look at the
I'm
driveway
here
stuff?
too. So,
Oh, really?
Okay, fill in.
Seriously?
I've got a couple pages stuff I want to go over. But I'm not going to, and I just want to say that the Laconia Indian Historical Association has given a check to the town of Tilton to donate to the senior center for their use and whatever they need to use it for.
Okay.
Woohoo!
So if you guys all want to accept that, $75 donation from Laconia Indian Historical Association. The check is in our possession.
Nice.
Yeah.
So moved?
All those in,
Oh, you did.
oh yeah, I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor of the $75 donation, say aye.
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 Don't we have to publicly
Opposed?
notice that?
Yeah.
You have to put it on the agenda.
Okay. So, and that's just for what's coming up next week. And
This was the practice run.
And that will be on the agenda. So stay tuned, and we will, and,
Nice
yeah,
save.
yeah, it was a spoiler, so
Yeah.
don't watch this.
Yeah, nice.
Thanks, and. good night.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Aye.
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 Right on my screen,
Aye, 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 aye.
which I've done before.
Yes.
Standing up straight.
I'll get the camera, Joe.
What?
I was just on my way. No.
This way.
I was
I
gonna say,
thought
'cause I used
so.
to be able to get through there, no
I did
problem.
not
So-
know about it.
It's just the winter wait.
You can get the-
It was on red. Joe, I hate to tell you,
Wait.
Joe, I hate to tell you that.
Salary.
We're red. It was on green the whole time.